From makeup artistry to editing, acting, distribution, and everything in between, Sacramento Filmworks is your one-stop shop for all things filmmaking. I'm your host, Klein Moore.
And I'm your co-host, Kenesha Allen. Sit tight because we're going to give you an overview of the filmmaking industry.
He's an Emmy-nominated writer and producer. He's a director that's got multiple awards, and he's also a member of the Black Filmmakers Hall of Fame in Oakland, California.
And he's been in the business since the 8th grade. We're going to sit down today with Mr. Loren Reed. He's going to tell us all about his career and the filmmaking industry.
Loren, thank you for being here today and being on the show, our first show. But 8th grade, really, how did you get your start that early?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your show here. It's a pleasure to be here for Sacramento Filmworks and here in Axis Sacramento Studio, my favorite studio in Sacramento. But 8th grade, my grandmother dropped a little camera in my lap and said, hey, here, play around with this. And fooled around with the little camera a little bit, and next thing I know was taking it out and making movies. And I got quite fond of playing with it and learning a little bit about the movies on my own. So kind of teaching myself self-taught, so to speak. So
that's how you got hooked. Give us a little bit of background about your film career, since you took it a little more seriously, obviously.
Well, if I can work backwards, I mean, within the last 10 years, I started writing feature screenplays and then also putting myself in a position to direct those and linking myself with independent artists in the business at Raleigh Studios, next to Paramount Studios in Hollywood and others, and linking myself with other filmmakers working out of Bridgegate Films that some people might be familiar with, that handled all John Travolta's movies early on. And then in retrospect, building myself through Sacramento, where I went to school in television capacity. So I did 10 years of television as a writer, producer, director, shooter, editor, and learned the business, if you will, from the great folks over at Fox 40. And then segued over again to films, further expression, and wanting to create films and emulate some of the things that I saw on the big screen and the small screen that were great.
Right.
Now, we're going to show some clips of your work, but before we do that, I have to ask you a question. Why is it that you decided to stay in Sacramento? Now, we all know LA is a little more known for filmmaking. Why is it that you are here in Sacramento?
Well, I wouldn't want to leave you friendly folks here. I mean, just sitting here on this set is great, and the folks here in the live audience is beautiful. But on the serious side, I'm a native Sacramento. I grew up here. I spend a lot of time here. And I spent a lot of time in Los Angeles, the place there, and also the business there. So as it fits my needs now, I do the Southwest shuttle thing and things along those lines here. But love Sacramento, love the people here, and got roots grounded in here. And LA is to do the work.
Okay. Well, let's go to that clip.
You can describe with less than 5 letters. I don't look like Denzel, I don't dress in Armani, and I sure don't come close to 6-figure money, so you look at me and say, you're not my type.
These are great designs.
What do you want? I was sitting in lunch when your silly little secretary came in there, rushing me, telling me you needed me ASAP, and I spilled chocolate all over my arm.
I'll be there.
It's only 3 days. You probably won't even miss me. Forget all about me, I'm sure.
Girl, I could never forget about you. You know that.
Promise.
Promise.
So Loren, that's a little sample of your work, and it's obvious you've done so many different things, writing, directing, producing, and you've made opportunities for a lot of other people. But we know that this industry is notoriously difficult to break into, especially, let's be honest, for minorities and for people that traditionally these doors have been shut. So how have you been successful?
Well, I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for other folks that did the reaching out and opening up some of those doors there, just the way you mentioned there. And they've been people of all ilk, people of all ages. You'll see some pictures of myself with the various artists, but there's people like Bob Isel. He was the screenwriter for The Great Debaters, a Denzel project, and mentored me a lot, and we did some things together. I've had meetings with Will Smith and his family in Calabasas, talking about independent projects separate from Overbrook and the commercial arm of his projects there. So you'll see pictures of me in his home, talking with him, Jaden, about their projects and how excited the children are. Denzel Washington, with his wife Pauletta and his son John David, who co-produced the Book of Eli, and we all talk about the business and stuff. But there is a network of responsible talent folks that do have some juice, if you will, in the industry, and they open doors and they make things happen and opportunities happen. You just want to make sure that you have your game ready so that you're able to follow through and things like that. But network is key. Knowing your craft and performing your craft and being at the top of your game is another. And so I feel I've been blessed with some of those opportunities of meshing with not only some of the folks there in Hollywood, but also a network of Sacramentans that are doing the business in LA themselves. People like Vonnie Sweeney, that a well-known name in this area that's thrown the biggest pre-Grammy party for over 20 years in LA, working with the likes of James Brown, Patti LaBelle, Luther, and all those stuff like that. But those kind of networks are special. So just the way it is in real life, how relationships are special at school, at work, at home, the same is true for the Hollywood industry, and you need those relationships to flourish.
Absolutely. And we heard about that, like the Wayans brothers. You hear how they, each one reach one, bring one up.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I have a question for you. What do you want your legacy to be?
For me, I want to continue to pass on the baton and be able to inspire other folks, up-and-coming filmmakers. Like in our audience here, there's several filmmakers. Delaire Doyle sitting over there with A Man's World, and I was able to preview some of his work, and others. There's some young students at the schools that I work with and train with and do workshops with. So when it's all said and done, being able to inspire, promote, give them some education, give them some information about the business, and more importantly, once they're prepared, some connections so that they too can make it through the door when it starts to crack open and things like that. That's it.
Now, you mentioned inspiration, but what other qualities does a young filmmaker have to possess? You talk about knowing your craft, but there's got to be a couple of just characteristics that all successful filmmakers have, and you must have. So what are those?
Well, I think you guys exemplify that very well here as the host and co-host here of the show. I mean, you present yourself very well. You're very prepared. That's the key. You know your craft, and you have a passion. The same thing with our studio audience here. They have a shared passion and really want to present themselves and come prepared. That's the one word that's really going to be key for anybody, no matter what they want to do in the business, is how are you prepared? If you're an actor and you have a script, you should know that script backwards, forwards. You should know the other people's lines. You just know the characters and be able to portray anything there. You take great direction, but ultimately, you see that you're prepared, and if you're a director, same thing. You're prepared for ups, downs, all kind of weather, any type of thing. So preparation is key. Passion is what drives everything, and with the Lord's blessing, you get your shot.
Well, you hear all the time about somebody who was able to be prepared, and at the right place, right time, they got the opportunity. So how does someone who's ready get in touch with you, or what kind of information do you have for us if somebody saw your work and wants to hear more, see more? How do they get a hold of you? You got Facebook? And
Yeah, Facebook. You can reach me through Global Art Film Festival or Gaffers. Also have my own personal, Loren Reed. Of course, also can go through Sacramento Filmworks, so linked up there. So any type of information, also can reach me landline or cell phone, 916-804-7333, 804-READ.
good. We'll have that
go.
number again. We'll be back in just a little bit with more Sacramento Filmworks. Sacramento Filmworks is sponsored by the Northern California Filmmakers Coalition, which provides filmmakers an opportunity to learn and network with professionals in the filmmaking industry in the Sacramento region. Join us each Wednesday at 6 p.m. at Access Sacramento, 4623 T Street, Suite A. We'll see you in the movies. And we're back with Sacramento Filmworks and our guest, Loren Reed. And we're going to take it to Kenesha for a few more questions.
That's right. I'm here in our studio audience, and some of our viewers have a few questions. Our first question comes from Miss Vanessa Royster. Go ahead and stand up.
Thank you so much for taking my question, Mr. Reed. I'm wondering, what would be the key piece of advice you'd give an aspiring filmmaker who seems to be running into walls and who's feeling a little bit discouraged at this time?
Well, that's a great question, and thank you. Appreciate that. But I think perseverance is the relative term there. You got to have perseverance. Also, patience. Those two play hand in hand. Reach out for your networks, for your relationships, and follow your dream. If you dream it, then follow it. It will come to pass. The Lord puts those dreams in your head. You follow that dream. That's your roadmap to success.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Now, kind of piggybacking off of that, Loren, you told us a story previously when we met about a young boy. You gave him advice on how to start doing his filmmaking. He didn't have any equipment, but you told him to use his cell phone. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. I mean, today's tools, today's technology allow you to go ahead and be creative. So if you have the dream, if you have the passion, then be creative. Don't wait around for somebody else. Don't wait around for a crew. Don't go out and spend the house trying to get that. But yeah, all the digital tools like your phones, your iPads have great video devices. So all you have to do is just utilize them. This young man went out and did some great stuff. We talked on the phone 2 or 3 times. Next thing I know, he calls me back and says, yes, I got 3 videos on YouTube I shot with my phone and edited with my phone. And also our Gaffers group did a training, and we did everything with the iPhone 4 at that time, and edited and put music and put that up to YouTube, again, as a example for young artists or anybody to just go out there and create art.
Okay, and our next question is going to come from Delaire, who is also a filmmaker. What's your question?
Yeah, I'm a filmmaker. I was given the camera from Loren. Loren taught me how to shoot, direct, and produce and write. But out of all the things that you know, Loren, which one do you like the best?
Well, I enjoy all facets. Each facet has a particular phase, as you know. So when I'm in the writing phase, I'm pretty much closed-minded into that particular phase, concentrative into that phase. And for me, I love 100% of that passion that I'm doing there. When I segue over to the next, then I do that as well. I grew up, again, in TV. I worked for an independent station like Fox 40. You learn just about everything. And so for me, it became a way for me to continue with that and learn the various interests that I have and try and master one of those, but have enough knowledge to really be able to do something good in all fields. And the last thing about that, and this comes in earlier with what I was saying, be prepared, it also allows you for good communications and understanding when you're communicating with other folks in your field. So if you're talking to a writer and you're a director, you know how to talk and relate with those terms. If you're talking to a DP or you want to get your message over to a DP about a particular shot, a particular look. Now you're able to use the same language and communicate even more effectively. So it becomes an asset and a resource for you to know a little bit of everything. And for me, each phase is just, I'm in love with each phase.
Great.
Thank you for your question.
And our next question comes from Sarah. What was your question?
Hi, Loren. I was wondering, what is your ultimate goal in your filmmaking?
My ultimate goal, and I'm certainly pursuing that now, is to follow my dream. My dream comes from above, and it is to create several feature films that have great elements in it that people enjoy, and that has some artistic elements to it. And bottom line is to complete something that I think will make an impression on people and stand the test of time.
And our next question is going to come from Julie, who is a makeup artist as well. Julie, go ahead and stand up. What was your question?
Hi, I'm just wondering how you balance your family life with all the time that's needed for your production, writing, post-production, editing, scripting, concept, casting, you know, you've all that whole thing, that whole pie, and then you've got your family life, and how do you balance that?
She said it just like I wrote it, so thank you so much, Julie. It is a challenge, and again, it's about being organized or organized, as I tell folks. And thank goodness I have a bunch of actors in my family, and I have other aspiring directors in the family, in the extended family. In fact, I wouldn't be sitting here today, and I was telling Klein Moore this before the show, had it not been for my cousin, Stevie Robinson, who worked at Channel 10 while I was in high school and inspired me to continue on and to go on and stuff like that. But really, being balanced and organized and knowing that there is special time that you must have with your family and friends and network, and being able to execute that is very key. And so I've been blessed with a very understanding group that allows me to do what I'm doing. I know if the tables would turn, I certainly wouldn't be as appreciative.
All right. And one final quick question. We're throwing some terms around there. What does Gaffers stand for? And just quickly, tell us a little bit about that festival.
Well, for me, it's an acronym, and it's the Global Art Film Festival and Repertory of Sacramento. And we take that on tour, and Global Art Film Festival tour. And within that repertoire, we have people like Cynthia Gatlin and Jen Gottson. Cynthia Gatlin in Sacramento, great theatrical actress that's well known. Jen Gottson just finished doing a starring role, if you will, playing Nixon's daughter in Ron Howard's Frost Nixon picture. So it's a film festival with artists and a repertory, and we travel the globe sharing stories, filling in gaps, and giving folks an opportunity to share and to think about what they want to do in life and in the arts.
Well, we're going to have to look for Gaffers, and we can connect on Facebook. But thank you so much. It's been great having you on the show.
It's my pleasure. I want to thank you again, Clay Moore. Also, Kenesha Allen, thank you so much. And to Ron Cooper here, the executive director, who I've known over here for over 25 years. And it's a miracle how he's kept this beautiful passion going in everybody's heart. So thank you so much, Mr. Ron Cooper.
Okay, and off of that, I would like to thank Loren as well. I want to thank our studio audience and the viewers at home. But you guys, stay tuned, because up next, we're going to show you a local filmmaker who is shining in our Sacramento spotlight.
If you'd like to be a member of our studio audience, to meet and greet film industry professionals, visit our website at ncfc.tv.
Welcome to the Spotlight segment of our show, where we highlight local talent. And today we have filmmaker, writer, producer, and everything else, Miss Mamie Jean. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
So the first thing I need to ask you is about your film, In the Eyes of a Killer. Very suspenseful. I got a chance to see the trailer. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's an exciting movie. It is a thriller. Most women don't write thrillers. And it's kind of based on an ideal of a true story. So it's a great movie. I hope you get to see the rest of it.
Yeah. So you also have some pretty notable people in this film, right?
Right.
So as a aspiring filmmaker or someone that doesn't have that much experience, how would you suggest they go about getting some notable actors or notable directors or things like that in their film?
Well, in this business, sometimes it's who you know, but the cute story was that I needed a DP, and I put an ad out on the Craigslist. And a woman's intuition, I just picked one of the names I liked. And he happened to give it to Louis Mandylor, who read it. And I flew him up to see about directing it. And then he was so handsome, I said, please be in it. And then through him, of course, you know, if you get an actor or an actress, most of them always have friends that they know that they can bring in. So, of course, he brought in Costas, which is his brother, Saw franchise, James Marshall, you know, Few Good Men, and Petrie Hawkins-Byrd from Judge Judy. So that's how it all happened.
Okay. Yeah. And so a lot of the film was shot here in Sacramento, a few notable places. Go ahead and explain that to us.
Well, it was shot on the Sacramento Delta in Elk Grove, and then we shot at Methodist Hospital in Sacramento. So it made it great as a film for up here.
Okay. Now, you also mentioned to me that this film didn't just pop into your lap, this idea.
Right.
This is kind of personal for you, right?
Right.
Tell us the story with that.
I had a friend, she's now passed away, that had a transplant done. And she started taking on some personalities of the person she got the transplant from. She had a liver transplant. And so from that, I got the idea of, you know, of writing a movie, because I really believe that happens with the DNA and stuff, you know. And I researched it and put doctors in the movie, so I made sure I did it correctly.
Good. Okay, now, so we can show our viewers, we're going to go ahead and take a clip of your trailer.
What is evil? How was it created? And why does it exist?
So, did our friend the good doctor call? Jack.
We found a donor. It's not as though Jack is going to be receiving the memory from the donor.
Mine's bigger than yours.
Very, very suspenseful stuff. Obviously, I cannot wait to see the film.
Very exciting to see a movie on the shelf.
Right. You know. Thank you again so much for coming to our show. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And that's our show for today. Sacramento Filmworks is brought to you by the Northern California Filmmakers Coalition in partnership with Access Sacramento. I'm your host, Klein Moore.
And I'm your co-host, Kenesha Allen. And you've been watching Sacramento Filmworks, where we show you how film works.
Race car, and it has a GoPro camera right there on top. Now GoPro, in addition to being high definition, is also stereo 3D. So you can get these really great shots, this camera mounted into the racetrack, and it allows you to get these really cool shots for post-production, editing afterwards. Or potentially, if you wanted to, you could actually attach it to a small transmitter and drop it directly into a live television broadcast. And the GoPro cameras, besides being small and convenient and high definition, they are also relatively inexpensive. For less than $2,500, you get a high definition camera that does some really cool things. This harness that you see here, this plastic case, is waterproof.
Right.
So you can mount it on the end of a surfboard, you can take it in the water. It's a really fantastic device.
Although we've seen that, and obviously, you see now races and different times people have these on. It's a $2,500 replacement if you lose it. Right.
In old style news, when instead of taking a $40,000 Betacam into a Persian Gulf War, for example, CNN switched over to handycams.
Excellent.
If something gets destroyed, in your vehicle. When the cameras that you've been seeing there is the traditional red camera. And the beautiful part about that is that while these cameras shoot high definition, the red camera can also shoot ultra high definition.
Okay.
Okay. So as you look at this image of the camera, you can see that it has lots of attachments. On the front, there's a matte box there that would hold lenses and protect the lens from having light flare and that type of thing. But there's another graphic that I'd like to show you, because it's really the way that the digital cinema producers are going to create those really dense images that could be used for compositing. As you look at this kind of rectangular shape, I want you to look in the upper left-hand corner where you see the smallest little box there. That's standard definition TV. And the next box up is 720p, and the box that's third out is 1080i. So those are just your standard high definition images. You get that third box, and that's how much digital imaging that's available. Well, notice now that with the red camera and other cameras,
along with Denisha and Johnson and Valerie Taylor came on as a writer as well. So when you're writing it, you're asking yourself, am I playing this part? If I am playing this part, do I want to express that much emotion? Do I want to give people that much of myself? So you have to be objective in that reasoning. But when you're also acting in it, it's almost like a competition as well. You see the great actors, they're doing their thing. You're like, I can't wait to get on the camera and do my work, but I hope I look as good as them. So you're always wondering how well you're looking on camera. So in that mind frame, you just have to let yourself go, relax, and just believe in your acting ability.